Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden, and in today's video we are going to be going over 24 cars that we all want to see make a return. I don't care if you're a Democrat, I don't care if you're a Republican, I don't care if you're a man, I don't care if you're a woman, I don't care if you're an other, I don't care if you're straight, I don't care if you are a part of the LGBTQ plus community. These are all cars that we all want to see make a comeback. Okay, they need to come back, because if they don't come back, us as a human race will perish. That's what I've been told. Okay, now I want to clear something up. I've missed like 3 days of uploading the past couple of days. If I'm going to be 100% honest with you, which I'm going to be because I'm fully transparent on this channel, the reason why, there's a video game called Pal World, and me and my friends have been playing it like crazy, and I have been so distracted by that every time I'm done playing it, I'm like, okay, I'll go make a video now. And I look at the clock, and it's 9 o'clock. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to upload tonight because that's a waste of time. So I'm sorry, but we're back. The initial effect of that game, which by the way, I'm not a gamer, but holy moly, that game is fun. Go give it a shot. The initial effect of that game though has worn off. I'm back, baby. Sorry about that. I need to take my job a little bit more seriously, I think. So we're back. But anyway, without further ado, let's go right into the list with number 24. I forgot to give a song of the day. Song of the day is I don't know, wow, Shoreline Mafia, Wings. Go give it a listen. It's a great song, one of my favorite songs of all time, actually. Without further ado, let's go right into the list. All right, number 24 is, even though this is last on the list, it's still a car I really want to see make a comeback. The Subaru WRX STI. Now, you may be like, whoa, Mark, are you stupid or are you just dumb? Because the Subaru WRX is still being sold, and it's really ugly, and it has these plastic fenders on it. How could you forget about that abomination? I didn't. I'm talking about the WRX STI, okay? The standard tract infection. That's the one I'm talking about, buddy. All right, that's not here. We have the WRX, but we're not getting an STI. I don't know why we're not getting an STI, but we're not getting an STI. So bring it back, Subaru. Give us an STI. Why would you stop? 23rd is a car that I will stand on this hill and jerk off on it until the day I die. It is the Lexus SC platform. I don't care if they come back with an SC300. I don't care if they come back with an SC400 or an SC430. I don't care if they come back with an SC1000. If they give us another Lexus SC, I'm a happy camper. I have loved the SC300/400s since the moment I found out about them. They are beautiful cars in my opinion, and they really were pretty good in terms of their performance as well, and they were luxury like cars. Now obviously if they came back with an SC, I'm not going to be able to afford one because these cars were like 100k when they came out back in the 90s, but either way, bring them back now so that in 20 years I can buy one and like drift it. That would be awesome. 22 is Saab as a brand, the entire brand Saab. Now Saab is a Saab story, okay? The way that the Saab went down was miserable. They pretty much just went bankrupt. People weren't buying their stuff anymore because they were starting to, instead of innovating, like Saab in the 90s and in the 80s, they were making cars that were like new and they were Saab cars. But then in the 2000s, they started to just copy Subarus and Chevys, and people were like, well, why would I buy this over just a Subaru or Chevy? And their sales plummeted and they went bankrupt, and then they sold their company to some Chinese company. Now they're not making anything for it. Bring it back. Bring it back, but bring it back to its glory. I don't want them to bring it back and give us more freaking rebadged Subarus and Chevys. I want them to bring it back and give us more Saabs. Put the guys that made the Saab airplanes back in there and have them make these cars again. 21st is one that might be coming back, actually. It is the Honda Prelude. The Honda Prelude is actually one of my most popular videos on this channel I made, talking all about the Prelude and the history of the Prelude, because I loved the Prelude, and apparently a bunch of other people do too, Honda. Now, apparently, again, they are bringing back the Honda Prelude. I've seen rumors scattering about the internets about the new Honda Prelude coming back, but if it's anything like the Integra that Acura just released, I don't want that, okay? I want an actual Prelude, a two-door, internal combustion engine Honda Prelude with a manual transmission. Are we going to get that? Most likely not. Where if they do bring it back, it'll probably be like a four-door piece of junk that looks horrible, looks like a freaking Prius, that has an automatic transmission because it's an electric motor under the hood, and nobody's going to want it. 20th place is a car that they absolutely demolished. They did not even just kill off the Mitsubishi Eclipse. What they did with the Mitsubishi Eclipse should have been a war crime. They turned it into a freaking crossover SUV. And on top of that, the 4G Eclipse wasn't very popular itself. Like, the 4G and 3G Eclipses were not that popular. 2G and 1G, great cars. But then the 3G came out and people were like, okay, what's that? Then the 4G came out and they were like, dude, what are you guys doing? And then they were like, okay, we're going to bring it back as a crossover SUV. Like, what? What? Give us the Eclipse. Mitsubishi as a brand should make a comeback. Like, where are all their cool cars? They have nothing cool. But the Mitsubishi Eclipse is the one that hurts the most, man. It hurts. 19th place, this one is kind of a little bit of a cheat code because they are still kind of making these, but it's all BMW Z cars. I don't care if it's the Z1, Z3, Z4, Z8. Bring back the BMW Z cars. Now, again, they do have the Z4, which is pretty much just a rebadged Toyota Supra, and so people are like, okay, that's a BMW Z car that nobody really talks about because they're a little bit too expensive right now. But I'm talking about like the Z3, man, and like the Z. Remember when they were like so innovative with their Z cars? The Z8, the James Bond car, nobody talks about it anymore, but it was a freaking icon, dude. That thing was sick. The Z1 is so weird with its weird doors. Like, that thing was wacky, and that was like, BMW is a great brand. I love BMW, my favorite brand of all time, actually. But that was like their that was like their wacky line, you know? They were making these weird cars with the Z cars, and now we don't have it. 18th place is an obvious one. I don't have to be the guy to tell you, but it's the Toyota Celica. The Toyota Celica was a Japanese icon for absolute years. Years and years and years and years and years. These cars came out in the 60s, and they were just a pretty good selling car ever since they came out. Then the 7th gen came out, and even though I like the 7th gen, it was a very big disappointment to the rest of the community because they didn't come out with a GT4 model, and for the previous 2 generations, they had a GT4 model. It was an all-wheel drive rally monster. The 7th gen Celica didn't do that. It was just a front-wheel drive car, and people were a little bit turned off by the looks of it because it looked a little bit too aggressive. I don't care about all that mumbo jumbo though. I just want an 8th gen. Where's the 8th gen Celica? All these cars are coming back. Supra, GTRs, Z cars, they're all coming back. Not the Celica. 17th place is admittedly a car that didn't really have like generations or anything like that, but I just kind of want to see like a reimagining of it. It's the Jaguar XJ220. And what, like, again, the Jaguar XJ220 wasn't like a car that had like multiple generations, so it's not like you could be like, oh, bring it back, because it was just a one-off supercar. They do that all the time. But what I mean by that is kind of just Jaguar in general as a powerhouse in the motorsports world. Like, they haven't made anything like an XJ220 since the XJ220. Like, the F-Type is cool, sure, but it's not an XJ220, and they don't have anything else that's even close to the XJ220. Just give us like a reimagined XJ220 that people can put posters of on their walls and dream about owning one day, Jaguar, or else you're gonna fall off. 16th place is one that personally hurts me. It's all Plymouths. Any Plymouth ever made, like, just the entire company, bring it back, because I'm not a big muscle car guy. I've never really have been, but at the same time, I love the Plymouth Hemi-Cuda. It is a dream car of mine. I would kill somebody to own a purple Plymouth Hemi-Cuda. No joke. Those things are beautiful. And then Plymouth just fell off. I get that most sister companies to like the big ones nowadays, Chevy, Ford, and Dodge, I understand that most of those have pretty much died off, and it's a lost cause at this point. But Plymouth is the one I want the most back, because God, they made some cool cars. The Barracuda, the Hemi-Cuda. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing, but still, like, those freaking cars, bring them back. 15th place is another car that didn't really have multiple generations of it, but everybody wants to see it make a comeback. It's the Honda S2000. Honda S2000 is apparently getting some buzz about being remade, which would be cool. But again, just like I talked about with the Prelude before, I kind of just wish that they actually bring back the S2K. I don't want them to bring back it in terms of like a 21st century Honda S2000, okay? I want them to make it an actual S2000. Give us rear-wheel drive. Give us a roadster. Give us a manual transmission. Give us an internal combustion engine. That's all we ask for, okay? You're going to mess that up, but that's all we ask for. Rear-wheel drive. It doesn't even have to be a convertible this time. You know what? Just rear-wheel drive, manual transmission, and an internal combustion engine. That's it. That's it, Honda. Just do that, and we'll be happy. 14th place, however, is a car that I feel like nobody talks about ever. Maybe in Europe they do. But here in America, they don't. It's the Volkswagen Shaco. Now, I understand why we don't talk about it too much in America. We don't have them. Well, we do, but we have very small numbers of the Volkswagen Shaco, especially compared to Europeans who have tons of them. But these were cool cars, man. Every racing game I played back in the day, a Volkswagen Shaco was always in it, and I was always like, oh, I like that. Like, I'm not a hatchback guy. I really don't care too much about them. But the Volkswagen Shaco was just a car that every time it popped up, I was like, that's a nice looking Volkswagen. It's one of my favorite Volkswagens of all time, actually. They look really aggressive, and they just stopped making them. I don't really get why they would stop making them. 13th place is another car that one of them is a hatchback, the other one's not, but it's the Honda CRX / the Honda Del Sol. They're pretty much the same car, realistically. They don't look the same, but they pretty much are the same car platform-wise. And either way, I want them back. Honda, back in the 90s, was obviously so innovative. They had the S2K, Preludes, CRXs, Civic SIs. That's when they came out with the Civic SIs, at least, and stuff like that. But the CRX and the Del Sol is one of the ones that hurt the most that they're not here anymore, because these cars are freaking icons in the world nowadays. I drove by a Jake's Wayback Burgers. I don't know if you even have that in your state or whatever the deal is with Jake's Wayback, but I drove by a Jake's Wayback Burgers one time and I saw a Honda Del Sol meet, and I was in my Integra, and oh my lord, I almost turned right around and drove that bad boy up in there like a monster truck over the curbs and everything, because it was so cool. These cars are just beautiful little spin-offs of the Civic line. 12th place is another hatchback. I know I just said earlier with the Volkswagen Shaco that I don't really love hatchbacks, and now there's 3 in a row, but it's the Mazda Speed 3. The Mazda Speed 3 had 2 generations of it, so this one actually does kind of count. And then they stopped. Why? Well, I don't know. Maybe because they're not smart. You ever think about that? You guys ever think about the fact that car makers, all they care about is their money, and not the fact that us car guys are sitting over here hurting because we don't have another Mazda Speed 3. Also, a Mazda Speed 6 would obviously be cool to see back as well, but I feel like they would do that anyway if they came back with the Mazda Speed 3. The Mazda Speed 3 is one of my favorite hatchbacks out there, especially for under the price point that they're at right now. They're like under 10 grand all the time, and they're just such good looking cars. 11th place is going to another muscle car. This one had tons of generations of it, and a lot of them, not every generation, but a lot of the generations were pretty beloved cars. It's the Chevy El Camino. Now, I understand that there's no real need for a Chevy El Camino nowadays. A Ute in America just doesn't make sense. We have pickup trucks. We have cars. Pick one. We don't need the Chevy El Camino, and even when it came out, we really didn't need the Chevy El Camino or the Ford Ranchero for that matter. But the Chevy El Camino was sick, dude. I made a whole deep dive on this, and so I learned that these cars had 400 horsepower in the 60s. Most cars nowadays don't make 400 horsepower, most sports cars. And this car had it in the 60s. Give us that again, man. Give us that again. But breaking its way into the top 10 is a car I think just needs so much more love in general, the BMW M6. Now, we've only had 2 generations of the M6. We've had 3 6 series, but only 2 M6s, because the first one, the E24, didn't get an M6 version of it. The second 2 did, and they were both gorgeous. And the first generation is literally one of my favorite cars of all time, no joke. The E24 6 series is gorgeous. I literally love that car so much. And I get that they probably are going to bring back the 6 Series, and most likely they already have started planning to bring back the 6 Series, but give us another M6, man, because I love them. I love BMWs in general, but I love the M6. Like, the bigger BMW M cars just feel right to me. Like, the big body BMWs, they feel correct. 9th place is a car that means a lot to my little heart. It's the Subaru Brat / the Subaru Baja. There's a lot of Subarus on this list because Subaru is an idiot, and they made a plastic Fender WRX as their sports car. So, yeah. But it's a Subaru Brat / Subaru Baja. My dad had a Subaru Baja for the longest time, and he would take us out off-roading in it, and it was such a fun little car to go off-roading in. This thing, they're just underrated and slept on cars. Again, kind of like the El Camino before, I understand why we don't have them again. There's just no need for them. Like, the amount of people that will actually buy a Subaru Baja or Subaru Brat 2.0 is probably pretty low. And so I get that from Subaru's perspective. But dude, the people that do buy it are going to be the happiest human beings on the planet. Okay? Don't you guys want to save people's lives? What if those people would have killed themselves if they didn't have a Subaru Brat? Huh? Subaru? Huh? 8th place, however, is one that's an obvious one. Everybody wants this bad boy back, the Toyota MR2. The Toyota MR2 was revolutionary. Not really, but it was an icon. It was a mid-engine Toyota with rear-wheel drive. It was hard to handle, but once you got the handling down, it was a good handling car. It was fast. It looked incredible. It looked like a little pocket supercar at the time. It was so cool. And then they made the MRS. And the MRS was also not that bad. You know, I liked it. A lot of other people liked it. A lot of people didn't, though, at the same time. And so because of that little mistake that they made, they just stopped. Why, Toyota? If every time I made a mistake on one of my YouTube videos, I just stopped making YouTube videos, I would have never been able to make a video. Okay, because I would have made a mistake editing the very first video I made, and then I would never have been able to upload it. Okay, stop giving up, Toyota. Make us another MR2. 7th place is going to the Cadillac CTSV. Oh, what's that? The Cadillac CTSV is still here, Mark. It's just called the CT5V, the CT4V. What are you talking about? Oh, my bad. I meant the wagon version of it. That's right. We used to have CTSV wagons. We used to, back in the days, back in my day, back in 2010, we used to have CTSV wagons, youngin'. All right, and they were cool. We would go to work every day and dream about owning a CTSV wagon. Yes, sir. Nowadays, we don't have those. We don't get that dream. Now, the CT4V and the CT5V are sick cars. I love them. I would love to own one day. They're beautiful. They're sedans that make like 450 horsepower. That's insane. But the wagon would be a wagon that makes 450 horsepower. That's even more insane. Sixth place, you know a company that was like really cool back in the day and were really innovative and they tried all these new things and then nowadays they just don't, but for some reason they get more love nowadays than they did back in the day? Oh, that just happens to be a company called Porsche, and specifically the Porsche 928/944, just that little weird bubble that they had with their Porsches where they made them front engine and like the rear end always looked kind of weird. That little bubble I want back. And I said a very controversial thing in the beginning, but I meant it. Porsche nowadays doesn't try anything new, and for some reason they get all this love. Yes, they make good cars. The GT3 RS is a great car. GT2 RS is a great car. But that's it. What else do they have? SUVs? Yippee. I want another 928. I want another 944. The Porsche Boxster. Bring back just weird, wacky cars. Fifth place is one that hurt everybody's heart, especially since they came out with like the most saddest commercial in the world to say goodbye to it. It's the Dodge Viper. The Dodge Viper is an American icon. It is our supercar. It is literally like if you want to be like, you can't. If a European comes up to America and they're like, oh, what supercars do you have? This is the one you point to because it was a beast. The European mind couldn't even comprehend trying to handle a Dodge Viper. Freaking like 500 horsepower going straight to the rear wheels with like 7,000 million pounds in the front end of the car so it would get tail happy all the time. Good luck, Europeans. Good luck. This thing was a beast. Every Dodge Viper ever made was a beast. First gen was kind of a death trap, honestly. Second gen is like one of my dream cars, no joke. I still have a picture of one on my wall. They're that gorgeous. Third gen was Fourth gen, insane. You see a Dodge Viper on the street, you stop and you stare. That's what Dodge Vipers were, and now they just don't make them. Fourth place, again, these ones at the top here are kind of obvious, but they're obvious for a reason because people want them back. It is the Nissan 240SX / the Nissan Sylvia / the 180SX / 200SX, whatever you want to call it, the S chassis. We want the S chassis back. We didn't get Sylvias here in the States, so we got 240SXs, and those were given a truck motor. They were not that good. They really weren't. Like, I'm sorry to burst your guys' bubble, but S13s, S14s were not good cars in America. But uh-oh, people are barking. But it didn't matter, and they still got popular. Why? Because they were so cool. They were drift monsters. Now, there is actually a little bit of talk about bringing back the Sylvia. I've seen some things out there about the Sylvia making a little bit of a return, and that would be cool, but I really hope they don't mess it up, man. It's such an easy formula to get down Nissan. All you got to do, rear-wheel drive, internal combustion engine, and manual transmission. Obviously, it doesn't even need to be a good internal combustion engine because we had the KA before, and that still got popular somehow. The third place, I'm American. What can I say? It's going to be an American car up in here. The Pontiac Firebird. The Pontiac Firebird. I love Camaros, okay? I've always loved Camaros. I think they're really cool-looking cars. Firebirds were even better somehow. I don't know how they did it. But remember the 4th gen Camaro, the Catfish Camaro? That thing was pretty ugly, right? You don't like it. I don't like it. Let's not lie to ourselves. It's not a good-looking car. However, the Firebird 4th gen, that was a good-looking car with the honeycomb taillights and the pop-up headlights. Oh my god. Give me that car. The 1st gen Firebird was just a better, well, I don't know if it was better looking than the 1st gen Camaro, but it was really close. 2nd gen Firebird, better looking. 3rd gen Firebird, better looking. And then they stopped at the 4th gen. Why? Imagine a 6th gen Firebird right now. Second place, man. Oh my gosh. The fact that they haven't brought this back yet should be punishable by death. It's the Mitsubishi Evo. What? They stopped making the Evo? Yeah, they did. They stopped making the Evo. You want to know why? Because we live in a simulation. There's no way that a human being saw how cool Mitsubishi Evos were at Mitsubishi and decided, you know what? We should stop making those. Yeah, we shouldn't make any more of those cars. We don't want to be the cool company. We want to be a boring company that sells SUVs to old ladies all day long. We don't want Mitsubishi Evos. No. Every cool kid out there that's driving around in our car and making people jealous that they don't have an Evo, man, we shouldn't worry about them. Like, what is wrong with you, Mitsubishi? You're the stupidest car company in the world. But first place, I don't care if this is a personal bias. It's my list, man, so get mad about it. The Mazda RX7. I have loved the FD RX7 since the moment I was born. I am on YouTube. I was watching a YouTube video before I started started filming, and one of the freaking recommendations is an FC RX7, because I love those too. I love RX7s with all my heart. They're so gorgeous. And then on top of that, they had a rotary, which was so different, so iconically different. Even if they brought back the RX7, obviously, if in order for it to be an RX7, it would have to have a rotary engine, because that's kind of what the R is there for. But if they brought it like back the car and called it like the EX7, and the E just stood for engine, and then I would be happy. Just give us another X7 though. I understand that you guys cannot build another rotary powered car in 2024. It's just not realistic to make, but just give us back the platform, because oh my god, the FD and FC FB RX7s are just iconic, beautiful cars that I would rob a bank for them. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video of the 24 cars that we all want to see back within the car community. It doesn't even, again, it does not even matter if you're in the car community. You could be a retired old man sitting in a senior citizen home. You could be a gamer that's sitting there playing, oh my god, this guy got mad at me in Warzone, gone sexual. You could be one of those guys. If it doesn't matter, you want these cars back. You know you do, because they're iconic, and they're iconic for a reason, man. They were cool. We don't have, like, we have cool cars nowadays. Okay, we got the M3 still. We have a Supra still, which is actually really impressive. We have Nissan Zs. We have GTRs. We have Camaros, Mustangs. Challengers are kind of going away, but we have cool cars still, but nothing exciting. You know what I mean? Like, every time they come out with a new generation of a car, we're like, yeah, that's awesome. That's about it. Did you try anything new yet? You try to make like a Honda Superlude or something, you know, and it's something completely different? No, they haven't done that since the 90s. Why? Why don't companies do this anymore, man? Give us new sports cars. Want to know the most innovative companies out there? Korean companies. Hyundai and Kia right now are like most like innovative. They're making these weird things that they're just giving it a shot. They're just like, whatever, we'll try. And there's some of them are working, some of them aren't, but that's the fucking beauty of it. I just swore, and I never swear on my videos because I'm so passionate about this topic. I want them back. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Das Vidania, and have a nice night.